Okay, we're getting towards the end of Doc Day, but we still have 2 fantastic speakers to go, so don't go anywhere just yet. We're moving into the topic of finding community and how the diabetes online community has helped the next speaker in particular. So a story that is sadly all too familiar to many of us in the online space is misdiagnosis. I know some of you have lived through this yourselves or know people who have, and our next guest is no different. The way he found his correct diagnosis, though, has a bit of a twist. Here to tell us more, Justin.
Hi there. Thank you for having me.
Very welcome. Let's just dive straight in with the questions. You were initially diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, which actually turned out to be wrong. Can you take us back to the beginning? Where did it all start? What was the misdiagnosis story? Go ahead.
Yeah, so this happens all too often. It was 3 years ago. I was 30 years old, and I was showing all of the telltale symptoms of diabetes. I was thirsty all the time, peeing all the time, felt terrible, blurred vision, mood swings, all that stuff. So I went to the doctor, got a blood test, and my doctor told me I have diabetes. He didn't. That's all he said. He said I have diabetes, and he gave me metformin and sent me on my way. And it wasn't until I got home that all the questions started popping up, like, well, what type of diabetes? There are multiple types, right? And how do I need to change my lifestyle for all of this? And so I just kind of did my thing. I took the medication, and then after a few months, I was still feeling very sick. So I decided to get a new doctor in the same office. Not the smartest choice. And this new doctor had me start testing my blood sugar and then taking long-acting insulin. At the time, I was already like a tech YouTuber, and I had social channels. So I was posting videos on TikTok and Instagram, and it was all focused on technology and testing my blood sugar, and the fact that my number from my blood meter would go to my phone, like, I thought was really cool. So I thought, why not just post that on TikTok, show everyone on TikTok what I'm going through in the tech that I'm using to kind of navigate through all this. So let's play one of those early videos of when I started doing that.
Hey, recently diagnosed diabetic with some updates. First, let's test my blood sugar. Not gonna use an alcohol wipe this time. Poking the side of my finger because it doesn't hurt as much. Thank you for that tip. Ah! Didn't actually hurt. Oh, I messed up. Oh no. You see, I don't understand why you have to use a new strip when you mess up. I swear that doesn't happen that often. Okay, let's do this again. 171, much better than my blood sugar's been. That's really good. So I've been waking up with about 75, 85, and it's all because my insulin. My sugar has kind of been spiking later in the day, but things seem to be getting better. I do have an endocrinologist appointment coming up, and today I'm getting a blood test to find out if I'm type 1 or type 2, so I'll let you know very soon. If you want to find out how I was diagnosed, check out one of my recent videos.
Yeah, so that was a TikTok I made probably after 4 others over the span of a few weeks. At that point, I had already received a lot of feedback, tons of comments saying, Justin, you need to get an endocrinologist, you need to get a pump, a CGM, you need to get the C-peptide test and the autoantibody test to test for type 1. So at this point, I was still kind of treating myself for type 2. I did start on long-acting insulin, but people were giving me little tips. And I kind of just fell into this community that I did not know existed. And I found that I could keep posting videos of my journey, ask questions, and get those answered. And then that kind of propelled me into this direction of continuing to create content and almost switching it to take what I'm learning and educate others.
Nice. So before we talk a little bit about the different content you're creating, we do have a question from Azra, who joined us earlier. Funnily related to stigma, did you feel relieved it was type 2 at initial diagnosis rather than type 1?
I really didn't know enough about diabetes to be honest. I knew very little. I had some friends with type 1. I don't think I really, I must, yeah. I mean, my grandma had type 2, but she wasn't around at that time. I was just so focused on just treating it and kind of honestly putting it a little in the background. I know I started making these videos, but it wasn't something I was all too concerned about.
Okay.
Well, yeah, I was concerned, but I didn't have enough time to I didn't know that the stigma really. I think I've learned more about it now, but I didn't have much of a view on diabetes, I think, at that point.
Fair. So you started out detailing your post-diagnosis journey on TikTok, but you've branched out a lot since then, and you have quite a lot of different formats. Would you mind telling us a little bit about your background, what motivated you to start creating all this different content, and a little bit about all the different types you're up to?
Yeah. So my background comes from Hollywood. I lived in LA for 8 years, and I worked in TV development where I learned how to video edit and produce and interview people and find the story behind something. Then I moved into I was still in post-production, but I moved into like America's Got Talent. I worked with all of the judges like Mel B, Heidi Klum, Howie Mandel, and got to do like social media content with them and shoot that. But I also knew I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to work in production. I kind of wanted to be more in front of the camera. And I had always wanted to be a tech reporter. So I left America's Got Talent and I started a YouTube channel called Just in Tech, where I reviewed technology like smart home, VR, AR, wearables, computers, laptops, kind of just like any tech that I thought was cool. And it was during this, probably a year and a half to 2 years after I started this, that I got this diagnosis. And I posted like an update video on my YouTube channel, on that Just in Tech channel, and told everyone what was going on with my diabetes. And I also there got a ton of comments telling me that I should consider I should consider looking into diabetes technology because there is so much of it. And that was around the same time that I started making all of these videos. And it was really the community and the response that pushed me to continue making content. So I started on TikTok and was doing a lot of experiential. My first low with friends, and taking you into a moment where I'm like vulnerable and crying. First time on a CGM on a pump. And I love technology so much. I realized that I could use this passion for tech, connect it to diabetes technology, and help others who aren't as great with technology, who don't know what technology's out there, who haven't done the research, whose doctors aren't telling them. I think that came up earlier. I think it was Asra who said that she had never considered an insulin pump until she saw someone using it online. And I found that, when I talk about different devices, I'm getting that a lot, that people's doctors aren't mentioning it. And I also have come to realize that people don't have access to healthcare in a lot of places, or they don't have the money to pay for it, especially here in the US. So why not, every time I go to an endocrinologist appointment, this is early on, every time I would go to an endo or a diabetes educator session, I'd then hop on social media and educate people about what I was learning. And since then, it's blown up. So I went full-time doing this. It started as a hobby alongside Just in Tech, and then it kind of reversed. Just in Tech's kind of my hobby now. I'll talk about tech sometimes, but more so I focus on diabetes tech. I've got the TikTok page, then I have Instagram, and then I have a YouTube channel where I do long form videos talking about all the new insulin pumps coming out in 2024, or diving into an experience I had with a product. It's long form, anywhere from 8 to 30 minute videos talking about different tech and management. And then I have a podcast that comes out every Monday, and that goes in video form on YouTube, but also on all podcast platforms. And on there, I talk to industry leaders, physicians, people living with type 1 diabetes, all about their experience with technology, where they see it going, how each product works, and how people can use it for the best treatment. Is there anything? Oh, and I also launched a Discord community channel. We have over 400 people in there that love diabetes technology. And I've been learning so much from the people in the Discord channel. It's open for anyone who wants to to join. You can find a link to my Discord channel on any of my YouTube, any of my podcasts, I think, have a link to it. But I've just been able to harness and curate this niche of a niche of a niche.
Yeah.
Type 1 diabetes, people that love the technology, and just be able to hang out with this community, help crowdsource information, and make it easier for everyone to get the information they need.
Nice. We have a comment here from Jean. So in awe of how you've shared your journey from so early on, Justin, and went on from sharing your journey to sharing so much else about diabetes and technology to help others. You share a lot of educational content, but you also have a few comedy videos, I believe, that you want to tell us about.
So I do lots of informational, what's in the news. I do a lot of demos where I'm holding a product. I have the Omnipod 5 iPhone app I've been playing around with, and I have some content coming on about that. Very exciting. Ooh, and it uses Face ID to unlock, which is pretty awesome. It's pretty overexposed, but that's anyway. But yeah, I also do comedy stuff too, because I find that it's fun to educate people without them knowing that they're learning. So I have this one bit that's really caught steam, and I've got a lot more coming, of a Long Island mother. I call her name Fran. I grew up on Long Island in New York, and this is what people sound like and what my family sounds like. So I've pulled from all of that experience and created this character, also inspired by John Roberts, who's the voice of Linda on Bob's Burgers. He follows along now too. But yeah, we can show a clip of kind of the comedy I'm doing.
What do you mean you're high? We're going on a walk. Come on, let's go. We're going on a walk. Is your phone charged? Is your PDM charged? Is your pump charged? You have a low snack? That's fine, I have 5. Move your arms back and forth. It will raise your insulin sensitivity. Come on, pick up the pace. Let's go. Squat it out. Feel that? That's the insulin working. How does this app work? Why is it's giving me driving directions? I want the walking directions. I just got a low alert. You're low now? Come on, we're getting a Coke. Excuse me, where are the Cokes? My son has diabetes. It's an emergency. Oh, we do need bacon too. Got it. All right, let's go. Bacon, thank you. Drink up, drink. Are you kidding me? An applesauce the whole time? Unbelievable. That's a diabetes tax for you, let me tell you.
Love it. We've seen this video several times while we've been rehearsing, and every time it just gets a little bit funnier.
Yeah, I was laughing too. I was like, wow, it is funny.
Yeah. So Fran would be what we call a type F. So family and friends, people who don't live with diabetes but have someone close to them with it. Have you had any feedback from the type F community on the character of Fran? Has it helped them?
I think that it's really resonated with mothers, where they tend to be on Instagram too. But there's so many people that are like, this is me, or this is me, or even like, this is me. I'm the girlfriend, whatever. But yeah, no, it absolutely has resonated with people that feel that this character's meant to pull on that helicopter mom energy that we all, that many of us may have and try not to do, but it's all with love, right? Everything she says, even if she's aggravated in the moment, it's all like tough love, right? So yeah, a lot of people say that it's things that they say, and oftentimes people will say something that they say and it inspires future work for Fran.
Yeah. So we've got time for one last question, changing lane a little bit here, but you're obviously sharing a lot of your personal life on social media. You're very active in the advocacy community. How do you handle the emotional challenges that all of this must bring up?
Yeah, I think diabetes has become so ingrained in my life because it is my work now, and it truly has become an identity for me. But that can get exhausting at times, and I think I sometimes get burnout less often from like diabetes management, but from identifying with someone with diabetes, whether that be, going out to a party and then the 5th question everyone asks is, what do you do? It brings up the whole, like, I'm a diabetes content creator. Yeah, I could say tech content creator, but the next question they're going to ask is what kind of tech, right? So I do get a little tired sometimes of launching into that, and sometimes I'll try to cut off that conversation short. I mean, I do love talking about what I do. It is a passion of mine, but diabetes is 24/7, like, as a second time job managing, and then it being my job, everything I think about work wise, and then it also being a social thing, and then also, you know, having the lows and the highs of diabetes in those social, it's tiring, it's exhausting. I'm a pretty resilient person, and I think I'm pretty good at just not letting it get me down or just not get to me. But it is something I juggle, and I think for me, I try to disconnect. I try to build in moments of disconnection, make sure that I have a weekend set for me to just do my own thing, not talk or think about diabetes, tell myself not to work. Because also, as being like a small business owner, like, you always want to work, because if you're not working, you're not building, you know? So I have to tell myself to shut off in that way. So yeah, it's finding that balance, I think, for everyone. And it's an everyday challenge for me, for sure.
Yeah, I can imagine. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us tonight. It's been a really lovely conversation. So yeah, have a lovely day. And
Of course. Thank you so much for having me. This was awesome.
you're welcome.